evening, Bravo Nights. This is Dr. Lopez, your principal, with a new edition of the Good Night Podcast. And as usual, I want to introduce my co host, Jose Morales. Jose?
Hello, everyone. My name is Jose Morales. Today I will be co-hosting this amazing, good podcast episode.
Thank you, Jose. And we have a guest who is returning. So we're getting very good. We're getting good because we have a guest that wanted to return. And I said, of course, we want to talk a little bit more about this very important topic. So today we have again our PSA, Ms. Lopez.
Ms. Lopez, yes. Hi, I'm People Service and Attendance Counselor, Ms. Lopez. How are you guys doing today?
Good, good, good.
Amazing.
And we're going to talk about a very, very important topic, and that is attendance. Attendance, attendance, attendance. And, you know, one of the things that I've always kept in mind is, and I think I heard it from a very famous basketball coach at UCLA. I can't remember his name. You're going to kill me because everyone knows his name, but I can't remember his name at this point. But he did say, in order to win the game, you have to show up to the game. You can't win if you're not there, right? You can't even compete if you're not there. Showing up to the game is the first thing you have to do. And so attendance, being present, being there is key. Ms. Lopez, tell us a little bit about your work and what is it that you're trying to do, or what is it that you're expected to do to help our community here, Bravo?
So I felt like I had to come back to the podcast because we didn't really touch a lot on what's new to the district and what's happening right now. So right now we do have an I Attend 2.0 plan initiative that we're working on, and we're conducting home visits monthly. We're calling parents weekly to get those students back to school, to increase enrollment, and just engage more with students. And now I feel like I have the opportunity to do that because now I'm here Monday through Thursday compared to last year when I was only here Mondays and Wednesdays.
And we're glad that you're here Monday, Thursday, because it does make a huge difference. Tell us a little bit about what are some of the things that you found get on the way of students coming to school, showing up to school.
So this year the trend's a little different compared to last year. Last year was a lot of COVID related, cases were rising, they were going up and going down. But this year I've noticed that a lot of our new incoming ninth grader students have different health concerns that are coming up, and we're trying to figure out the best way to support them. We're setting up parent meetings to engage those students back. And when I say health concerns, before it was more like anxiety and depression, and then just being in your home for so long during COVID that students were having trouble coming back. And now I see more like physical health related issues. Like students have severe migraines, they have headaches, they have physical disabilities that are not allowing them to be on campus. And it's an ongoing thing that a lot of students are going to their doctors. They're getting their physicals done, but it's hard to find what's actually happening to the student.
Yes, and I wanted to add on to that. I feel like a lot of students now these days with the new innovations on technology, us having to do most of our assignments on Chromebooks, I feel like that plays a really big role into these physical illnesses that us teens are coming up with these days because, life is changing, generations are growing. And I feel like that's a really well-known cause on how attendance is affected. What obstacles do you think you face as a PSA counselor? How difficult is it to get a hold of students that don't come to school or are not here for some unknown reason?
So for the students that we can't get a hold, usually my first step is always calling the parent. If I can't get a hold of the parent, sometimes parents block our numbers because they get those calls constantly that their student isn't here. So now we're doing more detective work. And I know it sounds a little like what's going on, but we're calling parents from, different numbers to get a hold of them because attendance is very important. Their student, our goal is for their student to graduate as, I am assuming parents want their students to graduate. So I feel like now we're also doing more home visits I've gone to a few home visits with the school climate advisor. I've gone to home visits with the psychiatric social worker, Ms. Barrio. So we do all these things to re-engage students. If we can't get a hold of parents, that's what we're trying to do to make sure that the student is well.
You know, as I learn more about our plan, our IT, I attend 2.0 plan, I also learn about other points of view about what schools should be about. And I was really surprised. I was really surprised to hear a very different perspective, and that is schools should focus on the learning, the teaching and learning. Everything else is extra, and we should not do anything about that because our focus, our task is to teach so that students can learn. So when we try to help students with mental health issues, with physical illnesses, with social issues, we are taking away energy, support, and resources from the real purpose of schools. What is your view about that? What do you think? Why do you think it's true or not true?
I feel like if the student is not physically, mentally well or healthy, they can't learn in an environment that they're not comfortable in. Or if they're sick, they have any kind of illness, they won't be able to concentrate in class. So our goal as a school is, it is to provide those learning resources and for students to come and learn, but also our well-being is very important as well. The district does allow, we want students to have a 96% attendance rate, just 7 absences in a school year. So I understand that sometimes, we have to take those mental health days in order to concentrate and be active in learning. If the student is present, they're not going to be grasping all, everything they're learning in school because they're not well and they're not healthy. So it could get a little controversial with my job because my job is to make sure the student is in school, but I also have an understanding, different viewpoint. We can't function. And if we're pushing ourselves, we're gonna end up crashing. And one absence in every 25 days, I feel is better than 3 weeks off compared to in the future, if they end up crashing, they're gonna end up taking 3 weeks off. So just being able to recognize that and see when a student is feeling overwhelmed, that's why we hold parent meetings. And I feel like I'm a liaison to that. I link the student to the counselor. I link the student to the mental health resources that we provide on campus. I link them to Mr. Solis, the school climate advisor, whenever we feel like a student is not feeling comfortable in the school. We have all these resources and we hold it together and we provide it for the students so they could come every day to school.
Actually, that was going to be a follow-up question for me is, so we have a student who's struggling to attend. We reach out to the student and family and we get the student here. So now what? You're not the only resource or the only person on campus. You're you're a member of a team of folks, right? Yeah. So tell us a little bit about, we get the student here now and what happens to that student who's struggling, who's still, they may be here, but they're still sick or ill or struggling emotionally. How do we help them?
So we have different resources on campus, like Ms. Barrio, she's the psychiatric social worker. And usually we notice that our tier 1 students, the students that we work with individually, are sometimes linked. So we provide that support to the student. We provide resources. If I feel like the student has to do a little bit more with the community, they don't feel like they're part of the community, I get the school climate advisor, Mr. Solis, to join in to find a group that allows them to feel comfortable. We link them to different sports. If the student mentions oh, I used to play this, okay, we'll talk to the coach, try to find a way to fit them in somewhere where they feel comfortable to allow them to come to school every day. A lot of students, when they're absent for a really long time, they feel so overwhelmed and stressed that they're afraid. Sometimes they may be afraid to go to their teacher and talk about like how they could catch up. So we link them, I link them to the counselor, like, hey, what can we do? The counselor sends out an email and we share what's going on. And I think a lot of the times maybe students don't feel like they could go to their teachers, but they fail to realize the teachers are very, like, they're concerned about their attendance, but they're willing to help and they're willing to understand the situation that's going on. And that's something I've noticed in Bravo. Like, the community here is a lot different than other schools. Everyone is working together for the student.
Yes, Ms. Barrier, I wanted to refer back to some points that you had said. How you were saying on how students don't come to school sometimes because, they might be sick or, they have a mental illness. And especially coming from a household where I either had a fever or vomiting or just any mental stresses, I had to come to school because that was I guess you would have to say, rule. And I had to come to school even though I was feeling very bad. What do you think us students and parents can have a bond so that we have a plan in case things like that happen, just in case we can't come to school because we're not feeling well?
So first things first is always communicating with the attendance office. They receive those calls and we make note of that to make sure that, we're tracking the student. After 2-3 days, if the student is still absent, I always suggest going to the doctors just to make sure that the medical needs are being met. I think that's something very important that a lot of parents don't understand, that although it's only a few days and you might have the medication at home, it's important to get information from a medical professional to make sure that everything is okay. If I see like a constant pattern, like illness after illness, I do advise possibly going into a doctor and getting a physical. And if parents come and they say, well, it's very difficult to do all of that, I definitely try my best to find a way that we could link them to the right resources, maybe like a community health community center that needs to, get those to get them checked in. A lot of parents may not have health insurance, so just being the liaison and the linkage to different resources is part of my job as well.
And I'm going to do a commercial plug in here, take advantage and say that one of the reasons why we do this podcast, the Good Night podcast, is to share out information about different ways students can connect and feel connected to the campus, right, to the community, to access resources, to address issues or concerns. And so we interview members of our community who have different ways of assisting and supporting students. And that's why we do the podcast. But let me ask you, let me go back to a couple of things that you said, or that you had mentioned. I Attend 2.0. Share with us a little bit about what some of those activities you have planned for our kids.
So we also not only we focus on the students that are chronic and not attending, but we also celebrate the students that are here. We do different initiatives. We did the 50 days of school, and we passed out pencils to teachers and no, not to teachers, to the students. And this year we have the 100 days of school coming up, February 5th. And we're encouraging students to dress up like they're 100 years old. And also we're going to be having a lunch activity where students are able to participate, in the first 100 students that complete the activity will receive a churro. So those are just little things that we have to do. We also do different challenges to increase our attendance rate. We've had a January challenge where we passed out. We did a raffle for the students that came from Monday through Friday, and if they got their paper stamped, they were able to enter in the raffle, and they either received a Starbucks gift card or a Panda Express coupon for a free kids meal. So those are just the little things that we try to do and include. and we definitely have so much more planned for the school year.
But I also know that you have something for the teachers, right? There is some sort of door competition.
Oh yes, the door. Join the 100-day door challenge, where we're encouraging teachers to decorate their door. Anything related to 100 days, and it could be either like a personal theme or something related to 100. For example, like if teachers, their math teacher, maybe they could create an equation with their students that equals 100, or if it's a history teacher, maybe something that happened 100 years ago. Just little things that we want to encourage to also like lift the school spirit.
Awesome, awesome. That sounds great. The you're fairly new to our community. How how have you felt welcomed and yeah, welcome to our community as part of our team? And how do you think we can help others who may be struggling with that?
I think I felt like as soon as I came to Bravo, I kind of just fit in with the community. Everyone around me has helped me feel welcome, and I feel like I have a lot of support from campus aides to the principal. I feel like everyone is very like well-rounded, and I've gotten the support that I've needed in order to like help me do my job and also to get the students to come to school. I don't feel too overwhelmed and stressed, although my job could be a little overwhelming and
Yes,
stressing.
yes.
The support from everyone at Bravo has really like encouraged me to do more. Yeah.
Great.
Ms. Lopez, I wanted to go back, how we were talking about, new district innovations that have happened so that students are ready to attend school and are ready for the world, which is one of the quotes that the new district strategic plan kind of holds in place. There's a pillar 3, on how to be an effective communicator. How do you feel like you are being an effective communicator and helping students get to school?
So I try to, when I'm doing different activities outside in the in the outside cafeteria, I try to go and interact with the students. Also, I try to talk to students individually to help them. And I tell them, like, I know it could be overwhelming, but just if you come talk to me and let me know what's going on, I could be of better assistance. And I tell the same thing to the parents. Like, I know a lot of times they get these truancy letters from the district because those are generated. But communication is very important. And in doing so, it allows me to get an idea of what may be going on and just providing more help for the family and for whatever may be going on.
I just want to say, what's wrong with you? Do you want to get my job? You're trying to impress my boss? Connecting to the strategic plan? Good job.
Thank
Awesome.
you, Dr.
Awesome.
Lopez.
I haven't even thought about the strategic plan. I mean, I think about it all the time. I do, Superintendent Carvalho, and I do, Mr. Avalos. I couldn't agree more. One of the things that we try to do is we try to live out our vision and mission statements, and not in the podcast, but I have talked about this with our faculty and our staff. How important is it to communicate that with our students, and to why is it important to have those skills at this time of our experience as human beings?
Yeah. So attending and being present is very important, not just for school, but like Dr. Lopez mentioned, for the future. In the future, whether you have your own business, whether you have a job or a 9 to 5, showing up is very important. If you have a self-business and like your own business, you're self-employed, and you don't show up, not just for the work, but for yourself, and you're not taking care of yourself, then you're not going to be able to bring income in. And in your 9 to 5, if you're not attending, you're not being punctual, you're not there, there's a possibility that you could get fired. And these are just life skills that we've learned, since we started school, kindergarten. And addressing them now and changing a habit now is very important for the future. And even if students decide to go into, college, there's no one's going to be there to knock on your door like, hey, how come you're not in class? And it's something that we teach so students have that self-discipline to want to go to school and do that. And obviously, once they get to college, there's different resources that they could get if needed.
And being present and being there is not just important for job and school. I agree with you wholeheartedly, but it's also important to have healthy relationships, family relationships, right? Because if you're not present at home, and you can be physically there, but not personally present there. So coming to school is one thing, definitely very important, but also once you're here, you need to be present and engage, right? If you're not present in your family, or if you're not present with friends, you're going to struggle to maintain healthy, positive relationships, right? And so I agree with you. I think you've hit it in the head. It's a lifelong skill that we need to have, and we don't ever master it. We continue to learn because times change, like you said, Jose. Times change. When I was a kid, I never imagined that I would be living in the Jetsons period or time where we could FaceTime. That was in the cartoons. I never thought we would be able to do that. And times have changed, and they've changed the expectations and how we relate to each other. That's why it's important for us to be present. Regardless of how we do it, we need to be present, both physically and mentally, emotionally, and in as many ways as possible. Any other thoughts or ideas or activities that you want to talk to us about and share with us?
Just right now we have the 100 days, and I feel like we've been focused on that because we want it to be an event not just for, celebration of 100 days, but for the students and the teachers. So that's February 5th on Monday. We'll also be outside handing out different little things for the students. So hopefully they come and enjoy it and participate during lunch. I think that's all I have to say for now.
And your office is in the attendance
In the
office?
the
attendance office, yeah.
In the back.
In the back, towards the back of the counter.
And if you don't feel comfortable coming there and talking to me there, I could always find somewhere to talk to you individually. Just know that. Communication, like you mentioned, Jose, is very important. And it lets me have an idea what might be going on and providing any support that I could.
And, I want to thank Ms. Lopez and the staff, our climate coach, who happens to also be our general manager here for the podcast, Mr. Solis, and all the teachers, staff who help us to create spaces where students can come to school and feel safe and feel connected. And for all of the programs that we've interviewed, to try and find interest and a niche for every student so that no one is left behind, so that everyone has something to do here and somewhere to connect and somewhere to be part of a community. So thank you, Ms. Lopez.
Thank you so much, Ms. Lopez.
Thank you, Jose. And as usual, thank you, Bravo Nights, for connecting with us in a new edition of the Good Night podcast. And as usual, be a good night.